in, but I respect. And I think that's a great matchup opening week. I feel like you can get something out of that position more than you would in other places. Like, I just feel like if you go there for that price, you will be okay. You will be more than okay at that spot. Of another running back I'm looking at, DeMarco Murray.
Absolutely.
Versus Atlanta.
You read my mind on that.
Atlanta, I got him up there too. Marco versus Atlanta has always historically been just so suspect that you know what I mean. It's just been so suspect that defense.
I don't think that. When's the last time the defense been good? Since Dirty Bird?
Maybe so. Keith Brooken had a good run at linebacker.
Talking about one good player.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's never been really good. So I say Marco for sure was a good pickup. As you alluded to earlier, I mean, anything against New Orleans, I'm kind of going for. So Andre Ellington versus New Orleans could be a solid play. Alfred Morris versus Miami. If you want to test the waters on that Miami defense, I say if you want to test the waters, I don't know.
I wouldn't dare. If anything, you don't want to do against Miami Dolphins is run. If anything you want to do, you do not want to run when you may be able to pass the ball against them if the pass rush is not on that day. But I do not want. I believe Miami probably may have the number one rushing defense this year.
It should be close. How do you feel about Forsett versus Dallas?
I'm not a big fan of it. As much as people like to talk about Dallas, I believe Dallas actually had a pretty good defense last year.
Very solid, very underrated.
Justin Forsett, I'm still not sold on him. He had a pretty good season last year, but no, I don't think I would go. I don't think I'll lean towards
Same
him.
with me. I say this. If you feeling risky, D'Angelo Williams tonight versus that New England defense, it may. I mean, worst case scenario is he get you some red zone touchdowns.
Yeah, but I would have to be feeling real frisky for that one.
You would have to be stacked at the wideout.
I would rather probably put my money on somebody like C.J. Anderson and then use a value somewhere else because I don't think D'Angelo Williams is going to do much tonight.
So sleepers for this week. I would most definitely say keep your eye out. Once again, it seems like I'm picking on Cleveland. Keep your eye out for Chris Ivory versus Cleveland. Chris Ivory actually had a solid year last year. Chris Ivory, if I'm not mistaken, like over 8 touchdowns, around that number. It was solid. I think that's a nice one to look at. Go back to your game, New Orleans versus Arizona. C.J. Spiller is that wild card type player that Drew Brees loves. C.J. Spiller and Mark Ingram both. Yeah, C.J. Spiller and Mark Ingram may get some red zone touchdowns. I would say those are some sleepers. Shane Vereen in New York versus Dallas may be a good one to look at, especially with him only going for 6,500.
I wouldn't do that.
You wouldn't do it?
I wouldn't do that. Just because we know Rashad Jennings is the starting running back. I'm not sure. Listen, I guess I don't have too much faith in Eli Manning. Let's get that straight. Let's put that to the forefront. But I'm not. They're not like a Philadelphia, Kansas City type of offense where they utilize a lot of screens and passes out of the backfield to the running back. So I really don't see Shane Vereen being a big factor in New York. Period. So I definitely wouldn't go to it.
For some of the rookies that's going, because the running back position is very thin. That's a lot of rookies that's coming up. Which rookie would you recommend going this week? We got Melvin Gordon at 7,100 versus the Lions. We got T.J. Yeldon at 7,000. I'm going to tell you now, T.J. Yeldon, he has to watch it. Denard Robinson looked even great in preseason. Yeah. Denard Robinson will steal carries from him. Yeah. He better not slip up.
But with that being said, I believe T.J. Yeldon is probably going to be the best rookie running back this year.
Wow, that's big.
So I would probably lean towards him because I believe he's probably the most talented rookie running back. I don't want to take anything from Amir Abdullah because he's pretty good as well, and then you got Ingram, but I believe T.J. Yeldon is probably going to show out. So I would lean towards Yeldon.
I would be close. I'm gonna stick with Abdullah because what I've seen firsthand with my own two eyes in practice. I seen him damn near break Tulloch knee again. So I would say that. And speaking of Abdullah, I will also put him in as a sleeper. Opening game, 5,900. If you're stacked at another position, I think Amir Abdullah will be a good option. I also think a sleeper option would be, I'm sorry, I'm a Lions fan, but Joique Bell is a sleeper on a lot of these quote-unquote professionals lists, these experts lists. They got Joique Bell as a deep sleeper to like have a breakout year. I don't know where, but at 6,500, Joique Bell is a power back. If we get to the red zone, you can get him the ball. He will power it in.
And I think that's where his value lies.
Yeah.
In red zone opportunities. He's not going to give. Joique Bell has never been a 1,000-yard receiver guy. Running back.
Nope.
But one thing he can't do is he can power through the line. He's always been a bull rusher type of running back.
Yep.
So if anything, that's where his value lies. Besides that, he's not really valuable if he's not giving you much in the red zone. So I mean, it's a sleeper, of course. But it's kind of like a lotto type of thing.
Yeah.
Jackpot. You know.
My do not touch for this week, and this hurts me because this was my first pick with the 5th pick. I'm going to say, especially at 8,600, stay away from Marshawn Lynch. I'm going to also say, because he's going against St. Louis, if those who don't know, St. Louis defense was already a top-tier defense. They got nastier. They got better. They're gelling together. I'm also going to say, at 8,900, the matchup is too scary. Stay away from Jamal Charles against Houston. Houston has already maybe one of the best defensive player, another great outside linebacker, decent and merciless. Then you got Cushion still in the middle. Jadeveon might actually show up. He's healthy. You went and signed the big boy, the anchor of New England defense, Vince Wilfork, play in the middle. That's just scary for a run game. Even though Jamal Charles is a running back and a scat back, but they got the speed on the outside to at least maintain it. And it'd be vice versa. If you flip this game around and it was a healthy Arian Foster, I would say don't start him against that Kansas City defense. This game has two good up front defenses where I would just stay away from running back from this game.
My pick is definitely not going to be a popular pick. In fact, the guy that I'm going to choose has been a popular pick going the other way, saying he's going to be a sleeper. He's going to break out this year. But for this week only, I would not play this guy whatsoever, and that's Jeremy Hill.
I'm looking right at it, yeah.
Everybody seems to love this guy for whatever this year. I mean, yes, granted he had a great last few weeks of the season, but he still has Giovanni Bernard playing behind him, who's going to take carries away from him. I still believe he's going to take carries away from him and be the third down back. And I believe his value is going to lie. And if he doesn't do anything first, second down, his value is going to go. I mean, it's going down because after third down, it's going to be Giovanni Bernard. He's that third down back that catches ball out of the backfield. Let's not forget, Giovanni Bernard was a second-round pick 2 years ago. They're not just going to give up on him.
And he was coming off of a great rookie campaign
and a great sophomore campaign.
The only thing that hurt Giovanni Bernard last year was getting hurt. And it started off as just Jeremy Hill would come in and just run till he got back. But Jeremy Hill carried that load where it got to the point it's like maybe this guy's for real. Because at first I thought, as I call him, flavor of the week. When people started picking him up.
He's flavor of the year at this point. I mean, because the people is really sold on him like he's going to be this top 5 back. I don't see it. I don't see it this year.
I didn't watch enough Cincinnati games, but on paper, it looks great. His numbers look great on paper. And, I don't see them giving up on Gio. Maybe they adapt that famous Jacksonville 2-back series. I'm not sure. But I agree
away
with
from
you.
Jeremy Hill this week against Oakland.
I agree with you. Up front, Oakland pretty stacked. They nice looking up front. It's the back end of their defense. It's kind of like the Lions used to be. Now, the most famous position, the best position in all of football to me. I love it. It's the wide receiver spot. we've already mentioned Antonio Brown. I mean, yeah, it's pricey now. Let's not forget, Antonio Brown is very pricey. He's going for $9,300, but he's also worth the $9,300 if you're going to spend big because of this back end of this defense is so depleted tonight. And Big Ben is one of the greatest quarterbacks at extending the play. And all he has to do is run around. And we know Pittsburgh is the factory of building receivers who eventually leave them. They have all big years and then go. It goes Mike Wallace, Plaxico Burress, Antonio Holmes. Antonio Brown is one that they actually finally got to keep. I got Antonio Brown as a very good pickup this week if you're going to spend the money. I think if you're on FanDuel and you look at the top 6, I would not tell you to shy away from none of them. If you're looking at the wide receivers, Antonio Brown is $9,300. If you want to save $300, you got Julio Jones going up against Philly. I'm not too sure how that back end, that defense is going to be. The pace of that game may be so fast. If Julio stays healthy, there could be a big matchup. ODB at $8,900 versus Dallas. If you one of those people that fell in love with ODB last year, I know you're going this way. Dallas back end got Barry Church, a couple other guys that's going to try to press. But ODB may be one of the only ones I say stay away from. Actually, then you look at Demaryius Thomas at $8,800. I think that's a great value there because DT is going to catch the ball. Bebe is going to get you 2 touchdowns this week. We no longer have Julius Thomas there. Emmanuel's still there. They got like Owen Daniels or something. Peyton actually loved Demaryius Thomas. You can tell the way he talks about him, the way he was upset that he wasn't in training camp. Then for $8,700, I think who is by far the best wide receiver in all of football, you got Dez against a team that you just have no confidence in. And it's a division game. It's no bigger divisional rival between these two guys. You got a divisional game. Dez got the big contract. I think we're going to be seeing the X thrown up all day. Dez go for $8,700. Then our hometown boy, who a lot of people has written off for some odd reason, we got Calvin Johnson going up against San Diego. Does San Diego have something on the back end strong enough to handle Calvin? I think no one can handle Calvin when Calvin is healthy. How do you feel about that top 6? Do you think anybody in there that is a do not touch or it's a safe play?
I will not touch Demaryius Thomas. Well, you know what? I'm sorry. I probably wouldn't touch Dez Bryant this year. Demaryius Thomas, I believe he'll at least score this week. I'm not touching Dez Bryant. I actually believe Dez Bryant is going to have that Calvin Johnson syndrome this year, where he's the number 1 guy, but the number 2 guy is the one that eats most. I would probably lean for
Emmanuel?
Terrence Williams.
Oh, you're talking about Dez.
Yeah. I would probably lean, instead of, if you're looking for a good value pick, I would go Terrence Williams over Dez Bryant, because Dez Bryant, he's finally gained that respect, I believe, to the point where he's going to be double teamed, sometimes even triple teamed. I would lean towards Terrence Williams for a good value pick for fantasy this week. Maybe if you don't want to spend that much, maybe you can go Alshon Jeffrey if he's playing. You might want to check your lineups that week. Or AJ Green, because I do believe he's going to bounce back this season and have a definitely 10 times better season than he had last year.
And I agree. I think Alshon will actually be very productive this year. I think AJ Green. I don't think Alshon will do nothing this year. I think AJ Green will be beyond productive.
Nothing?
Yeah.
Alshon Jeffrey was a top 5 wide receiver last year.
I just don't
nothing.
When I say nothing, it's because as we've been talking about the Bears, I trust nothing Bears. That's why even though I kept Matt Forte, I tried my hardest to sell Matt Forte at the draft because they have a whole new offense again. I don't know what is what there. I have to see. I will go back and apologize to anything, but right now I am so scared of that offense. As much as people talk about my guy Eli, you should be so scared of anything Bears right now because they don't even have identity right now. Even though it's Jim Fox.
I was about to say it's hard to figure out what John Fox like to do. Like even in Carolina, I didn't understand what
because he's a defensive minded coach.
That's what I mean. If anything, his defense was good in Carolina, but I as far as his philosophy, his offense, I really don't understand what does he like to do because the first 8 months of the season, Peyton Manning threw the ball. Then the last half of the season, C.J. Anderson come in and just kill a lot of people's fantasy seasons.
He ruined fantasy.
you know, but as far as his philosophy, I